Okay, Friday, I made it. I'm just going to do a quick vlog before I pack my stuff and head to the Bella Voce Meistersingers retreat. I wanted to share, I had my first form observation done today, and Brett did it for me from Man Choir, so I kind of wanted to share some of the things that he wrote. He told me that he likes to really, show growth, and he thinks that it should be these form observations showing growth. So he told me that he was giving me some twos on this formal observation, and to not freak out about it because they're things that he knows I can get fours on by the time that we're done. So let's see. For planning for instruction, he gave me threes for every category. He told me you will always know where you are going. Keep being directive on expectations. So, Forte's joining me. Forte, you want to be in the video blog? Here's your ball. Okay. He told it's a good compliment to know. Always know where I'm going. I always have, whether it's a formal lesson plan or not, I always have a concept plan, is what I like to call it. I always have an idea of what my concepts are going to be. It's like a map in my head, although it's written down, but it's like a mental, hi Forte, it's a mental map, a little web of what concepts I'm going to cover and what, like how I'm going to go about covering them. So it was really nice to hear that, I guess. And then under the category establishing a classroom climate conducive to learning, he gave me a couple twos and a couple threes. He says, continue to train vocalists what to do when you are working with other sections. And that goes back to I gave the tenors something to do. Like I wanted them to think about how the basses were singing and to comment on a few categories. I think what I'm going to do next week is, instead of saying, listen to the section and give me 3 comments, whether it's positive and negative or critical, I think instead of doing that and leaving it so open-ended, I think I'm going to give the tenor something very specific to focus on, like a category of things. Like, tenors, I want you to listen for cutoffs. And then I want them to tell me specific cutoffs that were good or bad that need work. And by specific, I mean with the measure number. And what was wrong. Because honestly, most of their cutoffs are the same. And I want them to be thinking also about, okay, so we're going to learn from this too. And then when we sing it, we'll have cutoffs. Great. And same thing for the basses, just to give them very specific things to listen for. And then today I had the boy with Down syndrome in Man Choir. He raised his hand and gave a comment. I've never thought that he liked me because I'm not a man. He's very into like being manly and being a man. He's always kind of been a little like standoffish with me because clearly I'm not a man and I'm not Brett. And but today when I asked the tenors for their comments about the basses, he raised his hand and he told me, he was like, I could hear my best friend Zach and he sounded good. And it was like, okay, like very awesome. And then that led to a conversation about blend. Did we hear one singer's voice and everybody could hear Zach over everybody else? So then we talked about blending, and so it was a very positive comment, and it was a very nice compliment for Zach, but it was also a segue to discussing blend within the section. So that was good. Under engaging students in planned learning activities, mostly 3s and a 2. The 2 under where the students focused on tasks to be accomplished. It's really hard to get men to focus for any number of minutes. He writes, excellent work with getting student responses to what needs to be improved. Continue to expect much from all of them so they will be more on your side. Strive towards excellence. And so I'm thinking, again, going along with asking for their feedback and their input, I think I'm going to start just calling on them because they have now gotten used to the fact that this is how it's going to work. Like, we're going to be giving each other feedback. And I, of course, keep hearing from the same 3 people. And now that the other students kind of know, okay, this is what we're doing, I want all of them to be engaged. So I think, I'll warn them. I could call out any of you, but I think I'll give them a heads up towards that this next week and make all of them involved in that process. Under evaluating, acting upon, and reporting student progress and learning, he wrote constant evaluation, constant correction. Nice work. And I learned a while ago that it's just so ineffective to run a whole section and not stop and correct things that we've already talked about. I absolutely believe in like whole part whole. And so in the beginning of the rehearsal, I'll run it, mistakes and all, the section that we're working on, the page or whatever. I'll run that whole section, and then I love breaking it into parts. Forte, stop. I love breaking it into parts, working on those parts individually, and then putting it back together in a whole. But when you put it back together into the whole and you're recontextualizing those individual parts, I think it's important to not let previous mistakes happen again, because then they become a habit. So, and I try not to stop every measure, but if we do a phrase and there was a mistake in that phrase that we've already fixed, I'm not going to let it go. So stop, fix this, and then put it back in context, give them feedback immediately. Did they do what I asked them to? So that's what I've really been kind of working on in all my teaching strategies, and I'm really pleased to see that Brett has picked up on that and giving me a good assessment, or a good evaluation, I guess. And then as far as the professional behaviors, ethics, and values, I got all 4s, except I got a 3 in one section, and I don't know why, so I'll have to ask him about that. But, it was good. And I feel really strongly about Man Choir now. I am very aware that for all the really good days that I have, there will be equally horrible days. So I'm not operating under the false assumption that next week is going to be just as great. But we'll see. I hope that in these last 2 rehearsals that have been so positive, we have started to kind of build a system of trust and cooperation and collaboration. So I'm excited to continue. I really had a wonderful week. There wasn't really one bad day. There were some not so great moments, but really feeling positive about this. And I think I'll be going into next week with a strong feeling of confidence and a lot of things to think about and work on. So it's good to start to really realize some of my weaknesses and feel good about some of my strengths. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and pack for the retreat and have a full weekend of leading rehearsal. So music for days, love it. And I will be back on Monday night after school. Toodles.